All right, so today we're going to start finding the general solutions of differential equations by using separation of variables. So in class, we're going to uh, do this step with a partner, but since I'm just teaching this video like you're not in class, we'll just do everything together. So when you are solving a differential equation, the first thing you're going to do is separate the variables. So what we want to do is get everything that has an x on one side, everything that has a y on the other. And there are some conditions. So once you get the variable separated, dy and dx cannot be in the denominator. And dy and dx cannot be added to or subtracted from an expression. It can only be multiplied by an expression. All right, so on example 1, this is one of the easier type to separate, where you're basically just going to multiply the ey by the dy and multiply the dx by the sine of x. Okay. All right, and then your second step is going to be to integrate. Okay, so then we're going to take the integral of each side. All right, so when we take the integral of e to the y dy, that's just going to be e to the y. Now we technically are going to do a plus c, but on these, we can just do the plus c on one side. All right, and then the integral of sine of x is going to be negative cosine of x plus c. Now the reason we can just do plus c on one side, if we had a plus a constant here and then I got my constants together, I would just have a constant on one side. So we can do it that way. All right, and then step 3 is to solve for y. Okay. So it's been a while since we've done this, but if we have e to the y and we want to solve for y, the only thing we can do to get that down is to do the natural log of each side. All right. So then the natural log of e to the y is just y. And then the other side, we can leave it like it is. All right. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so we want to separate the variables. We're going to do this in a very similar way. We would just multiply dy by y and multiply e to the x by dx. All right, then we're going to integrate. So we're going to use the power rule for integration on the left. So we're going to add 1 to the exponent and divide by our new exponent. And remember, we only have to do plus c on one side. So the integral of e to the x is e to the x plus c. Okay, so now I am going to multiply by that 2. Now, when I multiply that c by 2, it's still going to be a constant, but it's going to be a different constant. So I'm going to call it the different constant is c sub 1. All right. Then I'm going to take the square root of both the positive and negative square root. All right. So that's my equation. That would have that derivative. All right, let's look at the next one. We want to separate the variables. This is a little more difficult. So I want to get the dx over with the x, so I'm still going to multiply by it. But for the y, I'm going to divide by just the y squared. I'm going to leave that negative 2 alone. All right, so we're going to end up with dy divided by y squared. And then that's going to be negative 2 over x squared times dx. All right, then it's going to be a good idea just to rewrite this, because the way it's written right now, it would be hard to integrate. So y to the negative 2 dy is equal to negative 2x to the negative 2 dx. All right, so now I'm ready to integrate, where I'm going to add 1 to my exponent to get my new exponent and then divide by it. Add 1 and then divide by it. Okay, so I got work to do. I'm just going to go ahead and make that positive 2. We could have done that from the start. All right, then I'm going to divide through by a negative. Now again, I'm changing that constant, so I'm going to give it a sub 1. All right, and then y to the negative 1 is the same as 1 over y. All right, and then x to the negative 1 is 1 over x. Okay. Now I'm about to do a reciprocal thing. And to be able to do the reciprocal thing, we need fractions on both sides. So we need this side to be 1 fraction. So I am going to find a common denominator, which is going to be x. So 1 over y is going to be equal to negative 2 plus c1x over x. All right, and then I'll do the reciprocal of each of those. And that is what y is going to be. Okay, one more. So let's separate the variables. This might take a few steps. I'm going to go ahead and factor a y out of the right side. So I'm going to divide by y and multiply by dx. And then I will integrate both sides. So if I want to find the integral of dy over y, that's going to be the natural log of the absolute value of y. And then over here, I brought it down wrong. Okay, over here, I'm going to add 1 to my power and divide by my new power. add 1 to my power, and divide by my new power. Okay. This is a different, we're going to use old rules that you may not remember. I want to solve this for y, and right now I have a natural log. So to get rid of that natural log, I'm going to do e raised to that, e raised to that. Okay. And the e cancels out the natural log. We're just left with the absolute value of y equals. Now, don't forget that whenever you are multiplying, like if we had e to the x times e to the 2, if I multiply that, I would add those exponents. So I can do the opposite. Like if I have e to the x plus 2 and I wanted to break apart the e's, I could do e and then multiply. And that's what I'm going to do here. So it's going to be e to the x to the 4th minus 2x squared times e to the c. All right. And then what kind of number do you get if you have e to the c? E to the c is just a different constant. So e to some constant is going to be what e is raised to a number, which is going to just give you a different constant. So this is really just multiplied by a different constant that we'll call c sub 1. Now, typically, that's going to be written in the front. So let's do that. Okay. And then if this is what the absolute value of y is, then y could actually equal the positive or the negative version of that. Okay, so on this assignment, it feels like the calculus parts aren't too terrible. It's sometimes the algebra parts that get a little fishy. So anyway, we're going to work on this for a while. So just practice, and you will get better as we go. So your assignment is the worksheet that's on the other side.